I didn't think of anything while buying my wife a house after my business made huge profits until the same happened this year again, and decided to buy a home for my parents, but wife thinks it's unfair and I should buy one for her parents first so that they don't feel left out. Now she's mad because I said she can name her house under their name instead. I had a big argument with my wife. She wants me to buy her parents a house. This may sound very unusual for you guys, so I guess I should give you some background about why she suddenly made a request like this. So, not bragging or anything, but I have a pretty successful business. I started after college, and now it has turned into a pretty big company in the city. It was all my hard work and dedication that finally paid off. For a while, I had struggled, but business picked up fairly easily. My wife, Viola, 35 female, has been in my life just a while before my business took off. We have been married for 4 years already, and she works as well. We have a pretty comfortable lifestyle. Since last year, my business has been booming more than ever. My last year's profits were huge, so I decided to invest the money into real estate by buying my wife a house. Now look, my wife is fiercely independent kind of woman who likes having authority and ownership over stuff. She may not have a very high-paying job, but she does have some really big dreams. I'm not criticizing her or being sarcastic here. I really admired her resolve and her wish to live like an independent woman, but I do know that some of her life goals have been extremely unrealistic. She has a problem with living within her means, which kind of ends up making her broke even before the month is up. So I usually help her out at times, especially when her parents ask her for money and stuff. I never minded these small things because she's my wife and I consider her my responsibility even if she likes to be an independent woman. Anyway, all this is relevant because I want you to understand my reasoning for what I did in the past and what I'm doing now. So before we got married, Viola had always been pretty irritated at the fact that she didn't own a house. We had talked about buying a house together, but she never really had the money to even make her share of the down payment. I had money from my business that I divided into other investments, so I pretty much had the means to buy a house all by myself. We waited for 3 whole years, after which it became clear that Viola would never be able to save up enough. The housing costs were also skyrocketing, as they still are, so we had already lost out on great deals in the 3 years we waited. After a long conversation, Viola seemed to have resigned to the fact that she wouldn't be able to buy a house with me. So I went ahead, made the purchase with my name and my money. I did involve her in the buying process and she pretty much chose the house herself. Still, she's always been bitter about the fact that we live in a house that doesn't belong to her. That's why I decided to get another place and add both our names to it so that she would feel more at ease about it. That was what I did with my last year's profits. Viola was pretty happy when I presented her with this gift and she said that she would love to own a place with me, so I went ahead and bought her a condo. We don't live there yet because Viola refused to move from the bigger house. That was pretty much her call, so I didn't bother with it. She later moved her parents into that place because she didn't want it to be empty. I won't lie, but I was a little miffed about that. Her parents weren't going to give us any money for rent or utilities, so having them stay at the house would have been a major loss for us. But since the place was jointly owned by me and Viola, I didn't have much of a choice. Everything was still acceptable till here. The real problem started this year when my company had yet another profitable year, and I saved a good amount of money in my bank account. This time too, I wanted to invest in real estate. But instead of buying something for myself, I wanted to gift my parents a house. After all, my parents had helped me with capital when I had initially started the business. When I brought this up with my wife, I was expecting her to be supportive of it, but her reaction really threw me off. Viola looked pretty mad and asked if I was serious. Then she said that she couldn't believe how selfish I was being and that she should have known better than to trust me. I was a little confused and asked her what was going on. That's when she angrily said that I should be thinking about buying my in-laws a house instead of my parents. I was really shocked when I heard that. I have no idea why Viola thinks that I should be just gifting her parents a house out of the blue. They have been pretty much living rent-free in our apartment for the last year. I allow them that much or my wife's insistence, but buying them a house is simply too much. My wife's main argument is that my parents already have a house while hers are still renting. Without paying a cent, may I remind you? Yes. My parents do have a house, but it is not in good condition anymore. Repairing and remodeling it would be stupid because it would require a lot of money. So I was thinking about asking them to sell it and use the money to buy a house. They're too proud to take all the money from me, so having them contribute a little would make them feel more at ease. I literally had everything planned, but my wife is calling me all kinds of names in the book. I don't think I'm being unreasonable here, but am I? Please tell me the truth because I'm going insane. Edit. I see a lot of questions and assumptions about certain things. First of all, you guys had been badgering me about how the money is supposed to be my wife's too, since marital income and all. I have some news for you. We have separate finances. This big profit has nothing to do with my wife. I'm already paying the majority of our expenses because I earn more than Viola. The bonus is mostly my fun money. just like she has her own fun money. When I say that I would buy my parents a house, I'm talking about getting them a nice condo. I'm not rich enough to keep buying large houses on a yearly basis. Besides, my parents are old and don't have the means or the energy to maintain an independent house. That's another reason why I want them to move to a smaller but more comfortable place. I see all of my real estate purchases as an investment anyway. The apartment I bought would be in both mine and my dad's name. He wouldn't have it otherwise. I'm an only child, so it will go to me in the future anyway. However, if I buy my wife's parents a house, I'll be sending at least half the money down the drain. I haven't mentioned it before, but Viola has a sister who's nothing short of a train wreck. It's extremely likely that the in-laws would give at least half, if not the complete house, to my sister-in-law once they pass. Then again, I just don't understand why I should be buying her parents a house in the first place. I'm already doing enough for them. I think it's time for me to focus on my parents because they have never asked for help before. But my wife isn't seeing my perspective at all. She's just calling me callous and selfish for not helping out her family. Update 1. I had to come back to thank you guys because you have really opened my eyes about how unreasonable my wife is being right now. Just hearing her go on and on about this had made me question my sanity, so I had come here for help. I thought maybe a fair bit of you would side with Viola, but the support is mostly on my side. To those people who've been shaming me for not sharing my profits with my wife, just shut up. I literally spent the entirety of my last profit to buy her a house so that she stops feeling insecure. And, no, she never helped me with a cent of her money. All the money that went into my business was from me. Actually, it was my parents who helped me when I was short on money. It's funny how Viola always portrayed herself to be such a strong and independent woman, yet she doesn't think twice before asking her husband for handouts. I have nothing to hide anymore. I will be very honest with all of you. I haven't included all the details in my last post. I said that we have separate finances, but in real life, I have been paying for more than 90% of the stuff around the house. I already mentioned that Viola is bad at managing monies, so is mostly out of it by the end of the month. Once she gets her paycheck, she sets aside a small portion for household expenses and ends up spending the rest on whatever she likes. Don't ask me what they are because I don't know. For the last 3 years, I have been paying for the majority of things around the house. Hell, I've been supporting her parents too, actually. They're just like their daughter and are always behind on cash. Honestly, it's a joke saying that we are equal contributors because I am the one who's paying for almost everything while Viola is off doing whatever she wants. I have tried to talk to her. I have never enabled her spending habits out of free will. I've tried to help her budget or tell her that she needs to manage her money better. But every time, Viola turns it into a fight. She goes off on me about how it's her money and I have no say on how she spends her money. In moments of anger, she even says that she will starve herself and stay out in her car if I dare taunt her about contributing more to the household. I can't let her do that. That's why I had to shut my mouth about her spending habits. I haven't even gotten anything nice for me, but the first time I made it big, I got her a condo. Even after all this, she's calling me selfish. I'm so tired of all this right now. I feel like I need a break already. When I married Viola, I never thought she would turn out to be a leech on my savings. I admired her for her resolve to be independent, but now I see that it was all nonsense. The moment we said our vows, she started to let loose and just let me handle everything while she went and lived the life she always wanted for herself. The woman I married is just not here anymore. You guys have really made me question my marriage. Many of you have been calling her a gold digger. The word is harsh and in the past, I would have defended Viola against it, but I don't think I can do that anymore. I don't like the woman she has become. I think it's high time I sit down and have a serious discussion with her. If she sees my perspective, recognizes her mistakes, and apologizes, we will try again from scratch. I made vows, so I'm not going to call it quits before giving her a chance. But if she continues acting like an entitled woman, I think I will need to walk away. Update 2. Before I start this update, I'd like to apologize for my last update. I was feeling a lot of things and had been super angry. I reread my update later and cringed at how rude and angry I sounded. No matter what I was feeling, I shouldn't have expressed it so clearly in my last post. Some of you recognized straight away that I had a lot of bitterness in my heart. I'm not going to lie and say that you're wrong. I am human, and I think it's normal for me to be a little bitter and frustrated about what is happening in my life. Still, I am sorry if my tone made you guys uncomfortable. It really wasn't my intention. Truth be told, I love my wife. I was literally head over heels for her when I married her. It hurts to realize that the woman I love is taking advantage of me. I have set up a meeting with Viola because I need to fix these stupid issues as soon as possible. I don't want to be in suspense anymore. I'm still having trouble accepting that Viola is acting like a seasoned gold digger. I know you guys won't believe me, but she really wasn't like this before. It's like she let herself go in the worst way possible after we got married. Anyway, I plan to lay my concerns right in front of her. I won't back down or let her manipulate me. I will see if she can redeem herself. If she fails to do that, I'm done with her. I didn't sign up for a marriage where I would be exploited to no end. It's bad enough that I'm doing way too much for her already. Add her parents to the mix. It's like I'm being treated as only an ATM. Speaking of her parents, they have texted me and asked me to talk with them. They've been calling, but I'm too angry to take their calls right now. But I am a little curious about why they want to talk to me. They haven't left any rude texts or voicemail, so I don't want to be too harsh on them yet. I'll give them a call today and see what they have to say. I'll be meeting Viola the day after tomorrow, so you guys will probably get an update after 3 or 4 days. Update 3. I had to make this emergency update because my mind was all over the place. This morning when I was making the previous update, I had no idea just how much the call with my in-laws would change things. I found out about something huge and honestly I don't know what to think anymore. When I called my in-laws I really didn't know what they had to say to me. I know Viola had told her family about our fight. I was expecting them to take her side but they didn't. As soon as they picked up, they actually started to apologize for Viola's behavior. They said that Viola had told them everything and asked them to pressure me to get them a house. But instead of doing what their daughter wanted, they told her that she was being unreasonable. My in-laws actually sounded embarrassed and told me that they didn't teach their daughter to go begging for them like this. They sounded really embarrassed and kept apologizing. I told them that this wasn't their fault and that Viola was the only one acting like an immature, entitled child. We talked for some time, after which they revealed something shocking to me. I was under the impression that my in-laws were living in the condo for free. Well, that was a big lie that my wife had made up. My in-laws clearly told me that they were sending $1,500 per month to my wife as rent payments. They didn't want to mooch off of us in any way, so they were strict about making payments on time. Hearing all this shocked me to the core because this is not something that my wife ever informed me about. This is just plain bizarre. My in-laws were equally shocked when I told them that I was never told about rent payments and never saw a cent of the $1,500 that they were sending my wife. I don't know why Viola did this and why she was hiding money from me after everything. Her parents are equally confused about this. They were, again, very apologetic and promised to speak to Viola about this, but I told them to hold off until I talked to her myself. I want to confront Viola without giving her a chance to make up lies about why she betrayed me like this. None of what's going on is making sense. I have this awful feeling that the truth won't be pretty but I need to know it anyway. As much as I love my wife, I'm starting to realize that there may not be a chance for reconciliation. Take it as my intuition. I just know that my life is about to blow up. Update 4. Guys, I'm really touched to see that you guys have been worried about me. I won't lie here. I was planning to make an update because things are bad in my life, and my mental health is in shambles. You know that by now, I already had the talk with my wife. You don't need to learn rocket science to guess that it didn't go well. Past few days have been so hard on me that I had to retreat into a shell and nurse my mental health. I really wouldn't have made an update if I hadn't taken the time to read all the comments and DMs on this post. It surprised me that so many of you strangers have been waiting for an update and have been wishing me well. There were a few nasty comments calling me a doormat and a simp among other things. I guess putting people down is enjoyable to you guys. I did what I did out of love. I didn't think my wife would betray me. Maybe that's on me but you can't fault me for loving my wife. Anyway, the cat's out of the bag already, I guess. I found out why Viola was so adamant about getting her parents the house. I also found out why she was hiding money from my in-laws. Some of you called it out way back. She's been cheating on me. It wasn't easy making her break and confess to me. I knew she'd been doing something to betray me, so when I went to talk to her, I made sure to record our conversation. Initially, I started to ask her why she was so adamant about me giving her parents a house. She went on and on about how they are also my family, and I need to do something nice for them too. She continued spewing this nonsense until I asked her why she hadn't tried to actively save and buy her parents a house. Viola got angry and reminded me that she was broke. When I started to press her about why she was broke, she started to panic and tried to accuse me of being controlling. That's when I reminded her that I still haven't said anything about her hiding rent payments from my in-laws. Viola wasn't expecting me to say that, and her expression gave that away. She got a little frustrated and tried to deny taking money from her parents. After a little back and forth, I knew she would not confess on her own, so I simply told her that I had already talked to her parents. Viola got a little panicked before shutting down. I kept asking her why she was hiding this money from me and why she was always broke despite paying peanuts towards the household expenses. She refused to answer or even look me in the eyes. At that point, I knew that I had to ask her that horrible question. I asked her if she was spending it on someone else. I was still a little hopeful that maybe she was spending it on her sister who is another perpetually broke woman and lives on handouts from people. Well, no. After 15 minutes of me pressing her for answers, she broke down and admitted that she was cheating on me. I'll spare you the details of what happened next. I'm also not going to share how I felt or what I did after hearing this. It wasn't pretty. There was a lot of crying and yelling on both parts. That's all I'm going to say. I told Viola to leave the house and she did. You guys already know that the house we live in is in my name, so she doesn't have any claim over it. Initially, Viola was extremely defensive and blamed the affair on me. She cried about how she always felt less about herself since I was such a successful man. Apparently, I was making her feel insecure, so she went and had an affair with someone who is on her level. It was a random man she met at a cafe. The guy earns peanuts and lives on the money Viola sends him. She has been sending him money for the past 2 years. Yes, the affair lasted 2 whole years. Before that, Viola had been mostly spending money on herself, but eventually she started spending on this guy because by then I was already covering most of the household bills. In the past 4 days, I've realized that I've been thoroughly taken advantage of, but I'm going to stop this right now. I've already filed for divorce, and I'm waiting for the papers to come. I haven't talked to Viola again and would prefer to keep things that way. I don't know if I should reach out to my in-laws about this. I know that Viola is living with them, but I doubt she had told them the whole story considering the fact that she is a big fat liar. So this is where I am right now. I have been holed up in the house trying to recover from this little trauma that my soon-to-be ex-wife is going to leave me. I don't know what will happen now, but I do know that I'm kicking that woman out of my life for good. Update 5. Every time I think that I wouldn't make any updates here, I'm proven wrong. You guys are really good people, you know? This sheer outpour of support is something that I hadn't expected at all. I had expected most of you to laugh at me since I had been such a fool to trust my wife blindly. I did receive some comments of that type, but most of you have been wishing me well and rooting for me. Thank you so much, guys. Your kind words really made my day every time I read them. It's been over 7 months already, but comments and DMs are still popping on my notifications occasionally. Believe me, I had decided to update a long time ago but wanted to wait till the dust had settled. You guys would be happy to know that I have successfully gotten rid of the trash in my life. Viola is no longer my wife. I would prefer not to have any memory of my life with her, but hey, you can't get everything. The divorce went in my favor, in case you guys were wondering. We had a prenup, so most of my assets had been saved. Don't know how that is possible. Anyway, she did try to create trouble though. I'm sure I told you that she had been staying with her parents after leaving my house. Well, I had doubts that she had told them the truth about why she was kicked out. I was contemplating calling my in-laws, but they called me first because they had the same doubts as me. Viola has only told them that I had kicked her out over the argument about the house. I told them the whole story and it didn't sit well with them. Viola's parents were furious and told me that they didn't support her behavior at all. We talked some and I told them that I would be divorcing Viola no matter what. They understood and told me that I had their support. An hour after I hung up, Viola showed up at my door crying. She was begging me not to leave her. Made all kinds of promises about how she would do better and never make these mistakes again. Yeah, her parents kicked her out. She didn't have a place to stay, and, apparently, her dealer affair partner dumped her when he realized that she would be his problem now. Life comes back a full circle, I guess. Viola had tried her best to make me forgive her, but I went ahead with the divorce anyway. Due to the prenup, she didn't get anything except for the share of the condo. She took money for that because she couldn't afford to buy me out. Don't worry, I deducted the money that she owed me from the rent payments she got from her parents. All of this happened through lawyers. She knew she didn't have the money to fight. I kept a condo but had to pay her out. I think Viola was forcing me to buy her parents a house because she knew that if her affair was discovered, she would be left with almost nothing. You may argue that she still got part of the condo, but oh well. She lost the lifestyle she loved and her family doesn't talk to her anymore, not to mention that she lost her husband and affair partner within a few weeks. As far as I know, she's living in a crappy apartment with roommates because she's too broke to rent a good place. The money from the condo went to pay off the credit card debts that she had before marrying me. Yep. Turns out she always had a problem with money. She probably faked everything she said so that I would never suspect her of being a gold digger. Anyway, I have learned my lesson already and will be paying more attention to the next woman I date. Oh, by the way, I did buy my parents' condo just like I had planned. I'm seriously very happy right now. Thank God I saw Viola's true face before she was able to suck out more money from me. Also, things could have been worse. We could have had a child. That would have tied me to her for life. Thank God we weren't ready for kids. Anyway. That's the update for you guys. I can say for sure that this is definitely going to be my last update. Thank you so much for guiding me and reading my story. You guys really helped me go through a tough time in my life. Now I'm going to just hand over that responsibility to my therapist.